but I had content around these movies. And at the same time, I am a proud member of SAGAFTRA, the acting union. And we are on strike trying to get a fair deal with the, basically the studios from Netflix to CBS on down. And my union has put out a statement that we are not to promote any strike work. And what I was gonna do was probably on the gray area. I'm also quote unquote an influencer. I kind of hate that term. I have a fashion blog. And influencers are asked, unless you're under paid contract to a strike company, to not promote any strike work, organically or not. And so what I was planning just all of a sudden has felt not great to me. And I wanted to talk about why I am standing in solidarity with my union, which I think is really important, but also why I'm standing in solidarity with you. So first off, the acting union, I think there are a lot of misconceptions about us, because when you hear actor, you think like Clooney and Pitt and Hathaway, and yet you don't know who I am, right? Like, you can't name a thing I'm in, and yet I work. And that's the reality for most of the actors in SAG-AFTRA. In fact, there's a staggering statistic that there's 160,000 actors in SAG-AFTRA. 87% of them cannot afford SAG-AFTRA healthcare, or don't qualify, is what I should say. Don't qualify for our healthcare. To qualify for the healthcare, you have to make $26,000 a year. So again, 87%, I cannot do this math in my head, 87% of 160,000 people don't make $26,000 a year to qualify for health insurance through their union. I have never qualified for SAG health insurance, ever. There have been years when I booked movies, national commercials. I work. I mean, I book pretty consistently, and I've never qualified. Most of us are middle class. Most of us are living paycheck to paycheck. Most of us have day jobs, which, by the way, I've always felt like super icky about the fact that I had to have a day job. But reading, and I mean, again, I encourage you to go and read all the stories out there about not only what SAG is asking, because they've put it out there, the ask and the responses, but people's stories about how they've been treated, and even how some of the A-list stars that you may know, like David Duchovny, who had to sue to get money that he was owed from the studios, and how crazy that is. I think that the strike is not just about the entertainment industry, because I think sometimes we get in a loop where we're like, oh, it's the entertainment industry and people do it because they love it and it's fun, and those things are all true, but it's still work. I mean, it's work. I have never had a day on set that was less than 10 hours. I actually have, but most of like movie and TV sets, those days are long. Print jobs can be long. Commercial jobs sometimes are super short, sometimes they're not. A lot of times you still get paid late no matter what it is. Sometimes you're having to do your own hair and wardrobe. Sometimes you're driving. Sometimes you don't have enough time in between like your break time, or like when they cut you from set and when you have to be back. There's a lot that goes into it, and yes, I love it. All my friends who are actors love it. I love being part of a union, which is weird for me because I didn't grow up around unions. I did not grow up around it. Like, I can't remember anyone who was in a union when I was a kid. So things like crossing the picket line and scabbing were new terms to me when I joined the union. And to be quite frank, I wanted to be in SAG because I wanted good jobs. And yet what I have found is community. I have found people who understand what it's like, people who are rooting for you. And it's very true that even though it's a competitive business, even like when I see people that I've been in acting class with or that I'm friends with on commercials or on TV, I'm excited. I mean, I'm excited because if someone next to me is winning, that means that the chances are there. So to get back to like the scabbing and the crossing picket lines, because I didn't know, you might not know what those terms mean. So there's the picket line. Like if you're in LA or New York, you might find the actual like physical picket line, and we're asking you not to cross it. But there are also metaphorical, I'm making up words here, picket lines such as like don't promote work. There's also scabbing, which means we're asking you not to take union work, or as a non-union member to not take union work while we're on strike, meaning that a studio may come to you and say, like, for example, there's a show right now that's shooting and they're saying we won't hire SAG actors, we'll just hire non-union actors, even though it's a union show that's scabbing. And it gets kind of messy because, okay, so some influencing things are actually under SAG and more might be in the future. And my fellow influencers, that's actually good for us. Like, it's good to have a base, like, of here's how the industry is supposed to treat you. Here is something you can work towards to get health insurance. Here's where you can feed into a pension. Here is like a day rate, you know? And yet if you do any of those things like cross the picket line or scab, you might not be welcome into the union in the future. And you might be thinking, oh, I don't want to act. Well, if you want to do certain influencer things, or you want to be the host of a TV show, be it a talk show or reality show or whatever, you want to do commercials, you want to do voiceover work. There's a ton of stuff that's actually under SAG that you might be preventing future you from doing by your actions right now. And there are some gray areas. And again, I would encourage you to reach out to the union because they are super, super helpful. There's actually more than one person who is answering emails and trying to find answers for you and trying to help you and trying to get you a way to both keep your commitments and yet be eligible for union things in the future. But just in general, it's for me felt like I don't want to promote strike work because they don't need me to. It's made me really take a step back and think, what are we posting online and what can we keep offline? Because I fully intend to see more than one movie this week. I'm actually behind on movies, so I might be seeing like 4 movies this week. And I will talk about them with my friends, and I will be excited about them with my friends, and I will dress up and I will, you know, have a good time. But do I need to post about it? And all I can think about it, and this is a fashion story, because, you know, with the influencer and the acting thing, my fashion blog has always been like kind of an offshoot of my acting, because I do think that our fashion helps tell our stories. I think our stories are important. I think that from background actors to A-list people, every person you see in the movie is helping tell that story, and it's good for all those people to be there. I also think everything you wear tells a story. I think everything you buy tells a story. I think what we choose to put on our bodies for different things tells a story. I was a person before affiliate marketing that if you told me you liked my dress, I would run after you and tell you where I got it and if it had pockets and where I think you should wear it, or where I'm shopping. I was always that person. So both worlds kind of come naturally to me. But on the other hand, it's funny because I'm a very private person. And in some ways, I've always struggled with posting my personal life on social media. I mean, I don't have anything to hide. It's just there are some days when I'm doing my day job and I'm watching The Office and I'm in sweats. And it's nothing exciting and it's nothing to tell you about, you know? Or I have a great night that's just for me, doing whatever I do. But going back to the promotion thing, I vividly remember when I was like 8, to age myself, my mom would not buy me a Coca-Cola t-shirt. And Coca-Cola t-shirts at the time were like the thing to have. Like every cool kid had one. And I wanted one so bad, like so bad. And my mom turned to me and she was like, why would I buy you a Coca-Cola t-shirt? Coca-Cola is like a big, like multi-million company. Like they don't need us to pay money to promote them for free. And at the time, I just thought she didn't get it because I was 8 and she was not, and I really wanted one. I did end up getting one because one of my friend's big sisters outgrew her, so I got one. So it turned out okay. But then ironically, I did move to LA and I learned what you can earn for a billboard. And I learned sometimes that maybe my mom is right. That maybe we don't need to promote things for free. And I think that's different from telling our friends and telling our followers and all the stuff what we're buying. But this is what I will say. All of us deserve a fair wage. All of us deserve to be treated with humanity and with decency and with kindness. And no matter what you're doing, I think that you deserve the respect because work deserves respect, and there's no such thing as unskilled labor. There's just not. That's my most radical opinion. There's no such thing as unskilled labor. And so labor deserves to be compensated, and I think we all deserve fair contracts. And I do believe that you should share with your friends and your family the things that you love, and with your followers the things that you love. But I don't think any good thing comes from desperation. I have never met an artist, even though we have the starving artist trope, I have never met an artist who did great work when they were worried about how they were going to eat. I know I have messed up auditions when I was worried about how I was going to pay rent. Even in my fashion blog, when I've shared sale pics that came out of desperation, that I just needed to make a certain amount of money, those have never worked for me. I think great art comes from people who are recognized and paid fairly. And that's like a radical opinion. And I think your best work is going to come when you are recognized and paid fairly. And I think that that future is out there for all of us. So let's go to the movies. There's also a ton of stuff on sale. And, let's keep some stuff in the group chat. And I'll see you on the picket lines.